Cool. We'll let a couple people get on. What I'm going to do is be covering all the questions. So I got a lot of questions, actually more than I probably would have enough battery to answer on just different things. I mean, all over kind of the place. So I want to make sure I'm answering those. And then anybody that has any questions, feel free to post them up. This will be recorded, of course, since I got a lot of questions from people all over the world. Not everyone is probably awake right now. If you do have any questions, just so you guys know, I'm not like 100% expert in anything. I don't think anybody is, but I do think I'm really good at a couple things, and a couple of those things are building companies. It's taxes. It is like operations and strategy. It's marketing, Facebook ads. I think I'm pretty good with e-commerce. There are people out there doing like 100 times more dollars than me on my best days, which is crazy, but I still think I'm really good, and my worst days are still probably better than a lot of people out there. So I just want to be able to help you guys. I'm not selling anything on this webinar. I'm not going to be selling anything. I don't even have anything to sell you. If I promote anything, then I'll let you know. There's no affiliate links for it. I'll only promote stuff that I actually think is decent or good. So if you're coming on this webinar and you're like, oh, this guy's going to sell me something, I'm not, because I don't have anything to sell you except for myself and some time. So again, please feel free to ask questions on pretty much anything that you might have, and I'll do my best to answer them. What's up, broski? What's up, guys? So again, if you have any questions on taxes, relationships, money, finances, business, e-commerce, marketing, anything like that, I mean, feel free to ask me. If I don't have an answer, I'll tell you just straight up I don't have the answer. Like I said, I don't know everything, and if someone else has an answer to a question I don't have, I mean, post it so that way we can all learn. How's business? Business is booming, actually. It's pretty good. Had a pretty rough, I think, the last like 7-8 months in most companies, but now everything is like everything literally is starting to pick up now that we enter Q4 and making up for a lot of what it had before, so thank God. Cool. All right, so we got a couple people. Again, I know this is kind of all over the place because a lot of questions I got from all over the time zone, and I only posted the time just probably about an hour or two ago. So I got a lot of questions that were asked, and I want to make sure I go through as many of them as I can before any of my batteries start dying and going through that. So first question is, actually I got a lot of questions on taxes, so I'll try to group those. So one of the questions about me was actually, what do you do in your free time? I do a lot. So I still work. I still do my businesses. I do Krav Maga. I love fighting. I love going to the gym. Recently got a new gym membership, so I'm probably at that gym for like 2-3 hours when I go there, because they have like one of those like wet sauna room things. And then I go run every morning. I do a meditation, stuff like that. And then like I just hang out. Like I'll hang out with friends and stuff. If I can do anything crazy, like I love traveling. And I love doing like really crazy stuff. Like if it's on your bucket list, like it's something I want to do tomorrow, type of thing. Let's see, print on demand or drop shipping for starting a comm business. I don't know. I mean, they're both kind of the same. Print on demands, I think it's actually pretty easy. You just got to find a niche that people like and some designs that people like. You got to pay money for some decent designs. But I think it's a lot easier with a print on demand to kind of build like a niche if you're trying to do that and build like a good branding store. I always liked print on demand. It's just a little bit harder finding stuff that people love. But again, you know, and I think the margins are a little bit less too, just because you have to be careful. If you're getting good quality t-shirts and you're not buying in bulk, usually you're paying $15 to $25, and you're really not going to be able to sell a t-shirt for that much, or a sweater. So you just have to keep that in mind, but a lot more people might buy. Okay, cool. So one of the other things is I'm trying to get started with drop shipping. How are taxes handled in that business structure? Not to be vague, but taxes are handled the exact same way in almost everything, right? So if you're doing drop shipping, whether you're doing Amazon, eBay, like FBA, if you're doing Shopify, right, they send you tax documents at the end of the year for your income, and those tax documents are sent to the IRS also, so you need to handle it the same way. There are a couple other questions on like business structures and stuff like that, so when I get to those, I'll make sure I answer those for you guys. Let's see, next one is what are some tax shelters that you use to mitigate taxes for you at the end of the year? So I actually reinvest a lot of money into things, so I'm trying to reinvest it into real estate, I'm trying to reinvest it into just a ton of stuff actually, and things that I could write off. I also try to reinvest it into stuff that's going to make me more money next year. So more marketing material, anything that I could write off like as a depreciation. So like a car, for example, something that I can use as transportation. All these things, I'm trying to put my money over there. There are some other ways that are offshore that I'm not really going to talk about because it's slightly sketchy. We could do a one-on-one for that if you're the one that asked that question. But realistically, I mean, just tax shelters, I mean, if you reinvest that money, if you spend that money on something that's going to help you make even more money, that's one of my favorite and the best tax shelters. Just using write-offs the best you can. You know, one of the things that I always say too is like, every meal I go to, if I go out to eat, I make it business. Right? If I'm going out somewhere, if I'm going on a vacation, I find a way to make it business. One, so that way I'm doing business and I'm not wasting time. And two, I can write off the trip, I can write off the meal, whatever it is. 99% of meals that I take, I talk about business and I write them off. So that's one of my favorite things. Let's see. One's more of a personal question. So what happens when people don't accept me for me? I just walk away. Is that okay? You know, that's fine. Like you got your life. You have one life to live, type of thing. You got to live your life the way you want to. If people don't accept you for you, then go ahead. Just keep in mind, sometimes you're not always right. So if people don't accept you for you because you're an asshole, then you kind of deserve it. You know, you need to change. You need to shift who you are, and you also have to keep in mind, no matter what you do, even if you're like, oh, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur because I'm tired of work politics or whatever the crap is. Doesn't matter what you do. Keep in mind, there's gonna be politics. If you're in politics, of course, there's politics. If you're in a corporate structure, there's politics. If you're an entrepreneur, there's politics. If you're a social media influencer, there's politics, right? Who do I network with? Who do I piss off? Who do I not piss off? Who can I call out? Who can I not call out? How do I, strategize, like who I'm going to talk to and what I'm going to post and all this? Like everything has politics to it. So you have to keep in mind, like, yeah, you want to be you, but at a certain point too, there are, unfortunately, sometimes you have to make sacrifices to ensure that you are, that you're doing the best you can to build the network that you want to build. Best high-level skill learned today? Anything internet. Internet or anything that has to do with, I think, building like VR and artificial intelligence. Any sort of skill set that revolves around those, I think those are all going to be huge. AR, I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on AR and whether or not it's going to take off. Like, I think it might be a commodity, kind of like the 3D TVs were for a while. But I think VR is going to be like the next big thing. The VR is going to be like a touchscreen computer, where I don't know if you guys remember, but bonjour. Like a touchscreen computer, right? Like when those first came out, I remember going into Best Buy being like, why the hell does anyone need one of these? And now every time I go into a Best Buy, I go to touch it, and if it doesn't move, I get all frustrated and pissed off. Like, I think that's what VR is going to be. Let's see. Is it worth it to pay an influencer to help launch your product or pay for Instagram ads? I think so. I mean, so for me, I don't like meme pages as much, and people are going to disagree with me. Everyone has their own strategy. If I'm going to use an influencer, I'm using an actual influencer, someone with engagement, someone that's good, and a real person that people love, right? People might follow and they might buy stuff from like your meme page that you see where everyone has one nowadays. I mean, hell, I saw a meme page that posts the same picture of Coke every single day. I'm Coca-Cola, but that's stupid. But regardless, right, like a person they're going to buy from. They're going to buy from someone they trust. I mean, even think about like a Ty Lopez, right? He builds off his personal brand because people trust him to buy his stuff. And so he promotes those things. Like, that's the type of person you want to be around, and that's the type of person you want to buy from. So yeah, I think it's worth it. Even if you're trying to do like your own Instagram influence or anything, being able to purchase influence that way. Let's see. Have you tried the Acorn investing app? I have. I don't really like it. It kind of diverts my funds in a way. It doesn't make me a lot of profit, even if I put it on aggressive. I like being able to control my own things. I suggest if you're doing day trading, check into that. If you do different apps for that. If you are doing something where you just want to trade like stocks in general, then I like Robinhood personally because it's free trades. It's actually one of my favorites. I'm trying to slowly transfer all of my money over to Robinhood. It's just a pain in the ass. When should I start to worry about taxes when dropshipping? It's hard to say. So look, the thing that most people will tell you, which is highly illegal, is don't worry about it until you start making a lot of money. And what's a lot of money? I don't know. It's subjective. On the other end, when should you really start worrying about it? Right away, right? The moment you make anything, especially if you make, I would say $600 is kind of that threshold. The moment you start making that, you get something sent to the IRS. right? Once the IRS gets it, if you don't report it, you're not doing something, then you have a problem. So I say start worrying about it right away. It's never a bad problem to have. And hopefully when you start drop shipping, you're not going into it thinking, well, I'm going to make under $600 this year. Or hopefully you're thinking, I'm going to make $600,000 this year, $6 million, whatever that number is, a very high number. And so worry about taxes right away. It's a good skill to have. Do I trade currencies? No, I do not trade currencies. Not my thing. Do I offer mentorship? I don't, but I do through this. So there you go. I want to work with you. Cool. Do some really cool shit and bring me some value, and then let me know how that goes. How do you pick your friends? I don't know. I pick my friends. Honestly, it's kind of fucked up. But I pick my friends. By the way, if you're offended by cursing and you haven't watched my lives before, you should probably jump off. I pick my friends based on people. Fortunately, most of the time, like 90% of them, not even like a third, like the bucket rule should work. Most of them can bring me some sort of value or get me higher in life in some sort of way. And those are the people I go with, but also somebody I can teach to, right? I want to learn. I don't want to just take. I want to be able to give to them. I don't want my time wasted, and I don't want people like just groveling trying to get stuff from me. And so those are the ways I pick my friends. I also pick my friends based on people that I feel like would have my back if something went wrong. Don't get me wrong. I have tons of acquaintances that, frankly, I don't trust. I don't think they would. They would have my back, but I still acquaintance with them because they bring me some sort of value. But there are people definitely that, like, the ones I consider my friends, like they would jump in front of me, right? Like if somebody was threatening me, for example, like even like for me, like one of my friends, like, we got stuck in a weird situation in a different country. People were threatening to kill us, like get in the back of our truck. I was like, there's no way I'll get in the back of the truck. Like, and regardless, of how long I've known this other person I was with or anything, like I would have jumped in front of the guy. Like if he pulled out a gun or something, like I would have been all over that. Even like the night in the Mandalay Bay where there was like that shooting in Vegas, if you know about that, right? Even like that one, like I didn't know half those people in the room. I mean, they were influencers, whatever, but I was the one standing right in front of the door. Everyone else was, kind of behind something, of course, and I was standing right in front of the door. I was like, if someone comes in, I'm just going to go after them. Like, I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to let someone shoot me. Like, I'm going to do my best to protect every single person in this room because I considered some of the people in that room to be my friend. So that's the type of people I look for. If you start over with no money, what would you do? I'd probably do like consulting or something. I would still do something with consulting because people always want to improve their business. And consulting doesn't necessarily mean SMMA because that's so flooded now with people that know how to do it, don't know how to do it. It would be actual, like, how do I go in and help you with your business? No, not all businesses that I sold were online based. Actually, the first one I sold was not online based. That was a physical, real distribution center business. Let's see. Do I do other people's taxes? I don't. I don't even do my own taxes. I learned. Again, my accountant's amazing, just like my lawyers are amazing. I want to hire the best of the best. I want to hire people that are risk takers. I want to hire people that are ruthless. And needless to say, he does my taxes. The great thing is, though, is as he does them, he tells me, hey, here's what you should do. Here's how I can help you. Here's the risk we're taking. Here's how it works. So I'm learning as I go. As a financial planner type of person, I love being able to learn also, like, as I'm going with stuff and not just have someone do it all. Previously, you said you paid 10% taxes. How? Same thing I talked about a little bit earlier. For the most part, I write off as much as I can. I try to make every single thing I do about business, and I'm able to write off a ton of my daily life, basically. What are the best ads app for a dropshipping store? I'm not too sure what that means. Let's see. What do you think about cash and happiness? Kind of a personal question again. I don't know. I mean, like, cash doesn't bring you happiness, right? If I had just wads of cash around me, I'd be like, that's cool. But, I love having wads of cash when I can go spend it. I mean, not to be too generic with that answer, but that's kind of the truth. If I had wads of cash, I can give it to my family. I can be like, here, go better your lives, or here, let me go take people out. Again, even going to like one of those trips that I went on, to a different country, like to be able to have all my friends there and all my friends that were there and people I didn't even know, like they all made a lot of money. But to be able to be like, no worries, like I got this. I got the whole club experience tonight. Okay, next night I got the whole club experience. I got the whole club. Like to be able to drop cash, especially with people that already have money that aren't just moochers, and to be able to say, oh, there you go, no problem, just put it on my card, or here's the cash for it right away, and just tell everyone, don't worry about it, I got it tonight. Like, that's such a cool feeling. And that's so awesome to be able to do something like that and to be able to provide experiences like that. So that's kind of what I think. That kind of stuff brings me happiness, being able to give the cash to somebody and create an experience or a memory. Can you share some advice on the gain followers on Instagram? Obviously, I'm not like the biggest Instagram guy. I would say go live often, right? Try to provide value often. Post consistently and often. Have a consistent theme in your page, right? Not like black and white, color, bright, dark. Like, try to have something that is consistent, looks consistent. Use all 30 hashtags that you're allowed to use. I personally mix like 15 high ranks, like with million plus people following them, and then I do 15 like lower, so I can kind of get into those. I try to post right on the hour because that's when the hourly hashtags refresh, and then everybody has their opinion on what time to post. I post a little bit later in the day when people are getting off work, where I know they're probably checking their Instagram. So those are kind of like my biggest like quick tips for that stuff. And then of course, like we talked about earlier, just pay for influencers. Do the private, unprivate thing. Pay for influencers to give you shout outs, ones that are meaningful in your niche, or people that you know, right? If they're around the same amount of followers as you, even if you only get 1 or 2 and it was free, I mean, that's worth it because they're dedicated. Like, they're people that want your stuff. Let's see. Are you single? Yeah. Yes. Yes, I am. But I'm not actively looking for anything right now. Let's see. Do I really fight? Yeah, I do. Like I mentioned earlier, one of my investments is in Krav Maga school. I love Krav Maga. I've always done martial arts since I was young. I chose Krav Maga because it's the most effective. It's none of like the forms or anything. It's just like literally how do you take somebody out. In fact, it's funny because sometimes I go out with my friends and they'll randomly just like point at people and be like, hey, he could fight you. He can kick your ass. I'm like, please stop. It's so bad. But that, but it also gives me the confidence. Like, that's one of the things I liked about it, and I like that. Like, in my school, at least, there's not a lot of ego, so that helps. There is, but like I kind of avoid that. But it also gives you a lot of confidence in everything you do. Like, I feel, even if it's a little too confident, I feel safe walking down the street. I feel safe, like I'd be able to protect my friends and my family. I feel safe in the Mandalay Bay. Sorry, I'm throwing things with my hands, but I feel safe in the Mandalay Bay, right, when there's a shooter, to be able to stand in front of the room and go, as long as I can get to him first, I can take that machine gun away. Right, like that is confidence, and that's something like you just can't buy without experience like that. So yeah, I do, and I love it. And if you want to spar and put it on YouTube and you're an influencer like Logan Paul and all them did, I mean, let's do it. Let's see. Where can I learn the best tax hacks? A course, accountant experience. I think books are huge. Get some good tax books. There's a million of them out there. I don't really have any that I recommend offhand. And then get a good accountant. I think everybody should have a good accountant. And I always kind of preach this, but the 2 things I would ask your accountant in an interview, and not like an H&R Block accountant, get like a real one. Pay some money for it. It'll save you money in the long run. Ask them, why did you get into this, right? And what do you like about taxes? And if they say, oh, it's black and white, or it's straightforward, or I like numbers, they are the wrong effing person. Don't choose them, because the tax code is not black and white. It's very open. It's very open for a reason, to be able to protect corporations and people that know what they're doing. And so if you have someone that wants to follow the rules only, I'm not saying break the rules, but if someone wants to follow the black and white text and not get creative, cut them. Find somebody else. If you're doing that right now and your person says one of those things, find somebody else, because they're out there and there's some great tax people out there. I earned about $80,000 in revenue from Shopify under my dad's name. Does the IRS know about it? Hell yeah, they're going to know about it. And if you don't report it, you're risking an audit for your family, which means you're risking freezing assets of your family, and that's a pretty messed up thing to do to your dad. So you guys need to report that. Examples of ad copies that have worked for me. So ad copies that work for me are typically video ads. Usually they have some sort of statement and great adjectives in them. So, I used to do lives on this stuff all the time, but like one of the things I say, like when you're advertising something, it's not just, oh, get this great necklace here. If you love hearts and flowers, get this necklace. No, it's this stunning flower pendants will tell her how much you love her without you having to say a word, right? Like something like that. That's like, oh, like it grasps you. It's like, oh, I got to do that. It creates that urgency. It creates that like want, that desire, that I can see myself giving this, I can see her receiving and loving this, like that type of thing. Like those with a video that's actionable and exciting. Like those are the types of things that I suggest. When is our next getaway? Very soon, for those I travel with. How do you communicate with people that seem much more successful for you than you? For example, networking with people of high caliber and keeping high hopes of success. So it's always hard networking with people that are higher than you, obviously. And because even like me, like I talked about a little bit earlier, right? Someone's trying to network with me, my wall is up automatically. It's like me walking into a store and somebody asks me, can I help you? Like my sales wall goes up. The best way though is to be creative, right? You've got to be creative. You need to be consistent and keep following up, not in a way that's annoying. Like don't reach out to me 50 times a day, but do something that's creative. I mean, like you hear all the stories all the time about like people that like send cupcake boxes with like a resume attached to the top, like for a job, like, things like that, right? People that are contact marketing is a word for it, right? Things like that to get in touch with people. That's huge. I think it was the real Bradley, if you follow him or know who he is, right? He did, I believe, a contest for 10X for VIP, and you know the winner, who's an influencer as well, but the winner that won that just did a bunch of creative shit to be like, here's who I am, here's what I'm doing, pick me, right? Vote for me, etc. And so like those are the things you need to do to be able to find mentors, but you also can't give up. It's just like sales, right? You're gonna get 9 no's before you get that yes, but when you get that yes, it is worth it. And the next thing is you need to bring them value, right? What are you giving them? If you come to me and go, look at me, look at me, look at me, this is all I've done, I'm like, that's cool, good for you. I don't care. I really don't. Like, I'm happy for you. I seriously am, but I don't care, right? But if you come to me and be like, hey, Shane, I found a way that I can increase your, I don't know, I can increase this for you, this customer lead count. I don't need access to your accounts, and I'll do it for you for free. That's going to get my attention. Okay, sure. You don't need access to my accounts and you can do it for free? Show me. I can grow your following. I can get you to 40,000, 50,000, 100,000 followers. It's not bots. It's not follow-unfollow software. I'll do it for free for a month. Let's see where you're at, and if you like it, I'll purchase. Or if you like it, maybe we can exchange, right? Like, that's cool. Like, that's something I'll jump into, and that's what you need to do, right? If it's professors for school or maybe people for school you're trying to get into, it's the same thing. Like, what can you bring them? And I can't answer that for you. That's something you have to think about, but think about it hard because that's important. How do you find a mentor? Same thing, same way. Networking events are huge. I don't believe in somebody, I don't know if I don't believe in it. I don't suggest that somebody just has one mentor, right? We always like hear, oh, my mentor taught me this. Like, that's cool. Like, if you can find that one mentor, it's great. Most people won't, and you probably won't. Use books. Use all those experiences out there. Use as many mentors as you can, right? If you buy a course, like I said, when I was doing dropshipping heavily, I was buying as many courses as I can. And half the courses, I didn't learn a damn thing. But if I bought a course and I learned one new thing, even though I thought I was really good at the time, and I was, if I learned one new thing, it was worth it. I was like, cool, I learned something new. This person's like one of my mentors now. Great, I'm going to the next thing. If they put out more content because I learned one new thing, I'll see what they say. So that's just kind of the way to go around it. Just don't be so upset like, I have to have this one mentor that's going to teach me everything, because they're not. Especially if you're nothing, like, unless you have some weird, crazy story or interaction with them, like where they adopted you or something, you're not going to get that. If people come to me every day and go, Shane, can you be my mentor? No, I can't, but you can watch my live streams and I'll help you the best I can there. Will Inner Circle show me about landing social media marketing clients? Inner Circle is something that my friends Josh and Jeff both promote, and they have kind of like this mastermind group thing. Just so you guys know, I'm not affiliated with it. I may be on the podcast for it, but I'm not affiliated with it. I'm not selling it, anything like that. So far, I mean, like they've been able to bring some experts on, actually quite a few experts on. I've seen some value in a lot of stuff they're driving there. It's not just about like, hey, come on, listen to me so I can sell you the course. It's like, hey, here's some actual value that you can use. So I mean, I can probably say, I mean, I can't give you 100% guarantee because again, I'm not associated with it, so I don't want to. But I could probably say, yeah, they would, because they're bringing in people from all different categories and all different niches and different ways to make money. And so I'm sure that you would be able to get some golden nuggets out of there that would really help you. Is there anything wrong with living in Texas and getting LLC in Nevada or Delaware? No. At what amount of money should we worry about having an LLC or S Corp? I would do it right away. LLC, keep in mind, like LLC is about your protection. It's not about the amount of money. So it depends on what kind of product you're selling, anything like that. I mean, I just do it right away. I don't really care, especially if you're doing Delaware or Nevada. I think Delaware's $90, Nevada's $150. Maybe I switch that around. So It's super cheap. Like if you can't afford $90, you don't deserve to be in business anyways. That way you get the protection. S Corp, you should do anyways. Even if you have a job and you just opened up a separate business, do it S Corp. Use an accountant to do it, but get one. And if your accountant goes, you don't need this, find another accountant, because that accountant's bullshit. Most amount of money I made in a day, I don't know. I don't think I've ever looked at it. It's kind of hard because like there's times where I get contracts and like not all that money technically goes to me, and sometimes it does, and sometimes it takes months to get to. Like it's all over the place, so it's hard to say. What methods do you use to keep yourself motivated and not afraid to change? I am terrified of change. Recently, I've kind of gone through this life shift where I try to give, not that I count them, but I try to give, out of every 10 questions, I try to give 9 yeses and 1 no. So if somebody asks me something, besides like, can I be your mentor, like actual like experiences, I'll try to say yes 9 times out of 10. And I think that's really helped me kind of get over the fear of change. In addition to that, I write out my schedule every day. Not only do I have a calendar based on days of things I need to do, and a good routine, but I also have a consistent morning calendar, and then I also break down my days based on how long tasks take, with break times, extra time included, etc., in case anything runs over, so that way I can get through all of that stuff. So that's kind of how I do it, because I love crossing things off and getting them off my list, so by doing that, it allows me a chance to physically cross it off and go through it. Let's see. All right, we obviously got some messages online, so let me jump on here. Correct me if I'm wrong, can I max my credit limit and pay it off weekly, constantly collect points, as long as the balance is $0? Yeah. So as long as it's whatever that cutoff period, some credit cards aren't actually will only charge you interest as long, like before the statements due, like they'll actually charge you interest based on a certain other date, so you always want to verify with that. Rare, but it happens. And so as long as you're paying it off, yeah, I mean, absolutely you could. I don't suggest maxing it out. I do because you're going to get the points. I don't because then your revolving credit limit, because one of the things that impacts your credit score is how much have you spent versus how much do you have available, which is why I have like 300 credit cards, is because I want that available balance to be like, Shane has millions of dollars worth of credit that he could use, but he's only using this much. So even if I spend $100,000, it's, well, he has this much, so he's only using this of this, right? And so by doing that, though, and maxing out your credit card, you're collecting the points. It's showing good because you are using it and you're paying it off. But it could, depending on how they report it to the credit bureaus, it could impact it negatively because they're going to see, oh, he's constantly or she's constantly at their max of what their revolving credit limit is, and that could hit you. Let's see. When you say post on Instagram more and consistently, do you mean Instagram stories? I mean both. Do both. I mean, stories need to be exciting. Don't just post like 500 like stories of you in the car, not just a bunch of you talking. Like do stuff that's exciting to people or whatever's related to the page. And then on the post, yeah, the post is consistent as well. Same days, around the same times, like just the whole thing needs to look good. It's a brand. What do you say is the most important attitude that you would relate to your own success? I think it's the wanting to learn and the wanting to win. I don't really care, right? Like I said before, I don't care if other people win. I'm happy for them. I legitimately am. I just don't care. If they fail, then I feel bad for them, and I kind of care about that. But really, I don't. Like for me, it's the wanting to win. Like I don't compare myself to other people, and like I don't compare myself and go like, oh man, Ty Lopez is so successful. I want to be like him. And just like, like Steve Jobs didn't, I always give this example, but it's not like Steve Jobs like looked at Bill Gates and was like, man, I wish I could make a company like him. No, he was like, I want to make a company better. Like I want to do this. I want to do my own thing, right? I want to create my own brand. Like that's me. Like I want to do my own thing that's great. And like while I see other people succeed, I'm like, cool, I want to network with you. I want to learn from you. And while I see other people fail, I'm like, why did you fail? I want to learn from you. I want to network with you. Right? I want to see why that happened. But like I don't care if you fail or succeed. I hope you succeed. I hope everyone succeeds. I really, really do. And I hope that, if I gave you something that helped you succeed, that you'll be able to give it back in some sort of way in the future. If not, no problem. At least I did my good deed for the day. But yeah, that's kind of the big thing. It's just like my own willingness and want to success. Will you be keeping this live stream up after it's ended? Yeah, I will. I'll also be posting it on YouTube, if it allows me, Twitter, and maybe Periscope. Is SMA still a good business? I mean, look, I don't ever believe in saturated. Like people say dropshipping saturated, but Amazon's opening more warehouses than ever before. I don't think SMMA is saturated. I think it's the same problem with dropshipping though. There are people that know what they're doing that are opening like SMMA businesses, taking on too many clients, and then not able to manage their time appropriately. You can be good at SMMA, it doesn't mean you're good at time management. And then there's also people that are not good with it, that are opening these businesses and helping people, but they're not really doing anything. Like they're not doing anything for these businesses, and now they're giving them and people that are doing SMMA a bad name. So I think it's becoming harder to show the worth and the value and to be able to not be in a defensive position with a lot of companies out there, but I don't feel like it's saturated. I mean, I can walk down the street probably, like down where I am, there's tons of restaurants and stuff, and I can almost guarantee 90% of them don't have a marketing team, and their marketing probably sucks, like it needs help. So I wouldn't say it's saturated, they just need the right person to come in. I have my corporation tax as an S Corp in California. How much percent total do I set aside for state and federal taxes? That's good job on the S Corp. It's impossible for me to say without knowing all of your numbers. I always tell people at the least, like even when I start companies, I have a reserve fund that I put aside for taxes. Usually I'm putting away anywhere between 10 to 20%. I put away 10% because I know my tax rate is going to be 10 or less, but the 20% is kind of the average, and so that's usually the safer route to go. All right, cool. Any more questions, guys? Taxes, life, money, anything like that? Let me make sure I didn't miss anything too. Yeah, how do you utilize credit? We talked a little bit about credit earlier, but that is something I suggest using the best you can, right? If you're doing dropshipping or any business model, and first of all, if you're using the credit card, make sure you can pay it off, but use it. I mean, gain points, gain credit history. I don't see why you wouldn't. If you're on this and you're 17, there's certain types of credit cards that you can get where you pay it ahead of time, almost like a prepay, but it's actual credit card that helps you book credit for when you turn 18. And then on the other side of things too, using a credit card the moment you turn 18. I mean, apply for a credit card even if you only get a $200 limit. Spend it once a month, buy something small, pay it off. Like do something to build your credit for sure. I mean, it's going to be huge. I mean, if you don't want to pay cash down for everything, like you need credit. Like don't get me wrong. Like even when I went to go purchase like a house, right? It was like I had great credit, so it's awesome. But I know people that don't have great credit and or have semi credit, or maybe they're just young so they don't have great credit, and so they go to buy a car or a house, and even though they have like all this money coming in, they're like, we want 30% down, we want 50% down, right? It's crazy like how much money they want down on this stuff just because they don't have a credit history or they don't have good credit. So I mean, if you don't want to shell out that kind of cash, which you shouldn't for something like that, then yeah, I mean, start building your credit right away. Where else do you want to travel? I think last travel destinations for me, or not last, but ones that are definitely on the list is I want to do Australia, I want to do Antarctica, so I can hit all the continents. I want to do Russia coming up. I want to do Brazil, and kind of want to do Morocco, but I think those are the big ones. Those are pretty much the ones I'm focused on right now. I think that wraps up most of the questions I was going to answer from the last couple of days. Like I said, there's a ton of them. I know there's a ton more, and we can save those for another live. I want to know from you guys before I take off and get going with this amazing Labor Day. Wonderful weather here in California. I hope that you guys have amazing weather where you are. Any more questions at all that I can answer for you relating to any topic, marketing, sales, taxes, anything like that? In the meantime, too, feel free, if you enjoyed this shout out, feel free to give me a shout out of some sort. Let people know that you enjoyed watching this. Like I said, I want to bring immense value to everyone. I have a lot of skills. I have a lot of skill sets, and I have some that are unordinary, right? Like I came from the corporate world, so something that a lot of the young entrepreneur portion didn't come from, and I am envious in that I didn't do what a lot of other people did when they're 15, 16, 17, and 18 to start crushing it with my own business. At the same time, I learned a lot of skills from the corporate world. I learned a lot of skills from the entrepreneurship world. And so I feel like there's just, I don't know, there's a ton of life lessons, and I just want to be able to have everyone know my name, right? Somebody the other day was like, well, why are you doing this? Like, if you make so much money, like, what are you selling? What are you selling? What are you selling? I'm like, I'm not selling anything. They're like, oh, yeah, okay, what are you selling? I'm like, I'm not selling anything. I'm not an affiliate marketer. I'm not even really that great at marketing myself. I'm great at marketing products and other things, but I am trying to market myself because I want people to know me, right? Long-term plan, like, do I want to be a Ty Lopez or something? No, I don't. I don't want to do any of that stuff, right? I have other plans of things that I want to do to impact and change the world, and so I want a bigger following because of that, and so that's what my main focus is on right now. I have my other businesses. I make money from them. I make enough money that I don't care about selling anyone on here anything. Yeah, will I suggest stuff every once in a while? Probably, because there are some cool things out there, but for the most part, I want to make some impact. And like even, actually another question just came through too, which on the topic of selling, right? I'm not making any money off it. Like there's an LA event that one of my friends, again, Josh, is doing, and he recommended, somebody asked about it. They're like, do you think it'll be worth it? Yeah. There's, I believe 30 tickets going out today, maybe even less than that. Like that's a cool event. Like I talked about earlier, it's about networking and networking with high end and the right people, right? That's probably where the biggest shift from me came, entrepreneur wise. Even like if I was just working in the corporate world, it came from networking and networking a ton. So if you have the chance to go out and network with people, and not just network with people, right? Don't just go to an event where they're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna talk about crypto, we're gonna talk about real estate, we're gonna talk like cool, like I'm like all in one though, and they're not really gonna tell you anything, and they're just gonna sell you a bunch of shit. Like forget it. Like don't like cool, yeah, you're gonna meet some people, but don't go to those ones. If you're gonna pay money to go to a networking event, go to one like that's dedicated to something. Go to one that's gonna have like high end, like top tier people at it, right? Like that's one of the reasons I speak at Josh's events. That's the reason I speak at Jeff's events, right? I don't speak at a ton of other people's stuff because like I don't want to. I wouldn't even if I would, like, even for the ones that don't invite me, like I wouldn't if I was invited, because I'm really big on if you're gonna promote something, like you have to stand behind it. And I want to make sure that if I'm promoting something or if I'm at something, it's something that's actually giving people value. Like you walk out of there, this is what I learned, right? I learned how to do this, this, and this. It's an actionable item. It's not just a bunch of motivational bullshit, which is nice, but it doesn't make you money at the end of the day, right? It is, I can go do this right when I leave and I can be successful. And like, those are the type of events I want to speak at, and those are the types of things that I try to do. Today was a Q&A. Future ones will be, between mindset as well as actionable items. But like that's the kind of value I want to provide, and those are the types of events I promote. So I know he's doing like a webinar a little bit later too. So if you're trying to network, you should check that out. And I highly encourage it. Otherwise, I encourage you finding networks. If you're trying to do real estate, find your local real estate groups and go to networking events with them. There's even free ones and meetups. If you're trying to do e-commerce, go to e-commerce meetups. Like just find Meetup app. Right, for goodness sakes, like go there and try to find those things. Just network with a bunch of people because they're going to be allies at the end of the day, and they're going to teach you something. And like I said, if you can learn one new thing, it was worth it. I have a photo art coming that says "Always Be Learning," which is awesome because one of my teachings, even from like 4 years ago when I was doing webinars, was ABL, which is always be learning something. So that's something I suggest. So guys, I appreciate you jumping on. I appreciate all the questions. Hopefully you're able to take some answers or some value out of this, especially if you asked one of the questions that I was able to go through. I'm going to try to do these more often. I'm going to stream to multiple platforms. Now I got my whole setup going, and I appreciate it, and I hope you guys keep crushing it. Thanks.